pretty cool.
And we got materials coming in, so it's roll of base material. PTEX polyethylene plastic that we put in all different colors.
That's pretty neat. And then
we got that same PTEX for our sidewall. Also kind of bring a bunch of different colors to match the design of the boards.
that's pretty sweet.
And we got the wood core. We're putting that radius on the sides of the CNC. And then we're gluing on that PTEX onto the sides. So we'll kind of clamp that down. You can see back over there. Got those clamps going. Clamp that, leave that overnight, and pull it off the next morning. And then one of these will make anywhere from 6 to 8 boards. So slicing it down.
6 to 8 boards?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that big block becomes more like this then?
Yep. Or yeah, that'll be sliced from.
That's crazy.
We're drilling the holes for the inserts. It's a birch wood where the inserts are at. It's a lot harder on the wood, all that pressure coming from the diamond. Pull them up a little bit. Then, there you go, Noah. Then we taper it down even further and it gets pretty thin towards the tip of the tail. Different models have different tapers depending on the flex that we're looking for. So.
That's crazy.
It gets a little tight over there, so we'll walk around.
Oh yeah.
That whole base material, and then we do a die cut. Taking that material, we lay it over the top of the die. And then some presses over here kind of works like a hole punch where it's cutting out that material in that design. And then over here, we're kind of putting the pieces back together in the different colorways that we want.
Okay.
And throwing a layer of tape over the top of it so it's not falling out through the rest of the process. Holding it together.
That's nice.
We're not reusing this at all, so if you want. Sure.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So this is what you would put in there, like the stamp, basically?
Oh, yeah, that's pretty much
like
how she's punched that out. And it's, this will be replaced with like a white eagle, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then it'll still kind of be in a rectangle shape, so then coming over here. So he's working right now. You might have to tippy toe. I don't want to open the door because it'll get a little. But so we have all the templates of all the shapes and sizes of every model that we're doing. And, we're laying that base material underneath that template, and then it hand routers out the shape of the board.
Okay. Good thing about phones, when you're too short, you can just like. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So then it's cutting off all that material out.
All that
And cutting that base to the shape of the board. And then it'll look more like
one of those.
that's it. Then over here, this is our core prep area. They're taking those wood cores from the wood shop. They're getting all the other materials ready for the builders. So kind of cutting out that shape on the tip of the tail and adding the tip pill. So that's that PTEX. Similar to the base material you have in your hands, it's a bit thicker.
Okay.
Then cutting out all the rubber, all the carbon fiber, getting that all to the right lengths. And they'll stock up all that material on these racks, and those racks will get wheeled over to the builders the next days.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And this kind of shows our carbon fiber layout. New carbon weave that we're doing on the Type 3 model. Strip that'll wrap around the whole core, top and bottom. And that'll add dampening so you're not feeling all the chatter of your feet when you go fast, but it'll also help with the bonding of all the materials as well.
It's a lot of steps already into this.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
huge amount of work on it.
It's like, I don't think everybody realizes how much goes into making these snowboards. I can remember that.
Yeah, there's a lot of hands. We got some planers over here. That's what's putting that taper onto the core. So that'll be thinning out that core. Big belt sander in there, moving up and down according to the specifications and how thick we want the core to be. Metal edges coming in all the way from Austria for these long strips. We're cutting that edge to the right length, and then on this table we'll be bending the edge to the shape of the board or ski. So kind of feeds it through that little centerpiece right there, and it'll make all the adjustments. And you can see all the different edges hanging up over here in the different shapes. Then we're taking that edge and gluing it onto the board. So what it'll look like after it's all on there. They have a template, and they're matching that edge up to that template and putting the edge on there, clamping it down, and then adding a little bit of glue, making sure it's nice and tight to that template. You can see all the boards without the edges and then the bases with the edges. And then that mason edge come and sit in what we call a cassette. So see, it's indented to that shape.
Okay.
That basin edge will sit in there nice and flush. So then it'll be a good building block to start layering up all the other layers on top.
Okay.
And then we go into the building. And you can watch Kenny build a board over here. So he's just starting. Getting the top sheet and some of the rubber prepped with some glue. It is a two-part glue that we mix right over here. It's a resin with a hardener. Once that mixes, that'll slowly start to cure and harden. But with the heat from our presses, that'll speed things up quite a bit. So every builder has 2 presses going. They can do up to 35 snowboards in a day. The board sits in there for 18 minutes at 180 degrees. You'll see that top badge fills up with air, pushing down into the mold. And then that mold, you can see the bottom metal plate. That's what's giving us the camber profile. So our recurve triple camber, the hybrid triple camber, will come from that. Looks like he's working on the limited edition Shaper Twin. Starting with that basin edge, layering up on top from there. You got all the rubber, all the fiberglass, carbon fiber, the wood core.
So how many hands touch a board before it leaves the factory?
Oh man. I mean, I don't even know.
Seems like,
because how many people in each department,
yeah,
it's quite a few. Fiberglass going on there. Different models will have different blends of fiberglass depending on the flex paired with the wood core and the carbon fiber. Then working on that wood core. This will be the base of the core. So getting glue in those holes for the inserts. 2 of the inserts have a magnet on top of it. You'll see why here in a little bit. There's some pencil marks on that core. They do that over in the core prep area, and that's showcasing or showing him where the carbon fiber is going to go. So he's not having to worry about it.
So have you ever built the board yourself? Or?
I never worked in the building department. I've made boards for myself, but having somebody else build it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spend most of my time in the finishing department. So
Finishing?
after the board gets built, cleaning it up and making it look good. There's some blonde rubber over the inserts. Some of our bases, the lighter colors can be a little translucent, so that blonde rubber will blend into the wood core a bit.
Okay. Did you guys end up selling a lot of those 35s?
Oh yeah. We still have some of the like 54 some.
The 54s, yeah. Yeah, I was gonna go for a smaller size, but I'm a short, heavy dude, so yeah, I need something a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I never tried it out. Mostly just knowing that it'll be a little too soft. But I've heard good things.
Oh yeah.
People like it a lot. And that looks really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, throwing this is the carbon fiber.
So what exactly does carbon fiber do?
It strengthens the core, but with minimal weight, and affects the the flex of the board, so the torsional flex. It's really, those stringers are going from your bindings out towards the contact point, so it'll send more energy, from your bindings out to those contact points. But yeah, have minimal weight. Yeah, so flipping that core over. Then he'll have more carbon fiber and more rubber going on top of that.
So about how many days total does it take to make a board?
It's roughly probably 2 weeks. Like the wood shop is a couple weeks ahead. They're piling stuff up, but we have a whole production schedule that's usually 2 weeks, or planned 2 or so weeks in advance. And then after it gets built, it'll take a good week or so to get through finishing. We can rush the board out in a day if we need to. Carbon X going in the center.
It's like funny when you look at a board, when you buy a board, you don't realize all that stuff's in
Oh
there.
yeah, no, totally. Until you see it being built, you don't really think about it.
Yeah.
All the different layers. You think of it like a sandwich. That wood core is going to be the meat of the board, and then all the condiments and everything on top of it. And going in a big panini press.
Yeah.
Then this is a STS pre-tension fiberglass. It's really going to strengthen the board a lot. And most men's models get this. Women's and kids don't need it. Not as much weight going on there typically. So more rubber.
It's a lot of layers.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that rubber is really going to help with the bonding. Also adding dampening. We have some models that have a thicker, wider rubber, and that gives it more dampness. And another layer of fiberglass. Be the third and final. And he's gonna take his gloves off so he can handle that top sheet without getting glue all over the top of it. Line that up. Now he's got a lid. That lid will have 2 pins in it, making sure it lines up in the press nice and even. Going too far in there, moving around. Then you'll see it lining up. Going into that top press. And then you'll see that top bag filling up with air once it gets full. Push it down into the mold. And then like 16 to 18 minutes later, depending, they'll pull that out. That bottom fold has 5 minutes. That'll come out, and then it'll have another one to go in. Just kind of alternate those presses all the way. Nice. And then they'll pull it out of the press and out of the cassette. Give it a quick look over. And then they'll come and sit on these drying. So we want to make sure they're resting perfectly flat on these flat bars. As that glue is settling and curing, if it was sitting at an angle at all, could have worked the whole board. So we want to make sure it's sitting there for a couple hours to cool down.
So it's a delicate process at the same time.
Yeah. And over here, we start the finishing process. So this is where I first started out. Got a bandsaw over there, taking off all that extra material. I'll be cutting down the edge, following that edge. There'll be a little bit left over on the tip of the tail. So we have a jigsaw over there that'll take that off. And I told you about that magnet that we put on there. So, find out where that insert's at. There'll be 2 inserts with that magnet, so we'll drill into the 2, and that'll be our pilot hole. And back on that back wall, there'll be a template that'll come down and we screw into the 2 pilot holes, and then with that template, drill out the rest of the inserts.
Okay.
Then some belt sanders over there. We're grinding down the edges and the sidewalls, make them all nice and shiny and looking good. The big router, that big glue machine back there, that'll be putting the angle onto the sidewall, so helping us keep our edges at a nice 90-degree angle.
Nice.
Then after all that sanding, we'll go and do some more. Now we're in the base grind. You can see them over here.
Yeah.
They're grinding down the base. We also have these base grinders. And they're belt sanders, and they're starting with a rough grit, and they're working their way down to a fine grit. About 5 or 6 passes on every board. And it gets that belt gets sprayed with the water that has emulsion fluid, helping cooling it down as we're heating it up. You don't want to burn the edge, cause the glue to heat up and delaminate. Yeah. Then watch your stuff come through. Then it'll come out of base grind still pretty wet, so we dry it off real quick. Then we have the little wax roller in the buff.
So this is the factory wax?
It would take us a long time to iron wax every board. So. Then we come over into the grading department. Over pretty much quality assurance. But every boarded ski has a layer of tape over the top of it, so as it goes through that whole process, not getting scratched and dinged up. It will also help with the grip on the wheels of those base grinders, so they're not slipping around. Then as the day it was built, who built it, what press it was built in, so if you find anything wrong through that whole process, we can trace that back. And peeling that tape off, cleaning it up, making sure it's all up to standard, and then bag it and ship it.
Nice. Is that the next year model?
Yep, next year's Type 3.
That was. I'm gonna have to buy that.
It's a really fun board. Then Bentley, who was working back there, he does a lot of our split boards, finishing split boards. He has a little side project that he does. Boards that would have been junked otherwise, he's repurposing those and does some.
That's actually
patio furniture.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah. And in here. And we're printing out all of our top sheets here. So it's a sublimation process where we're printing out onto a clay-based paper.
Okay.
And then we're taking the top sheet material that we get all the way from Italy. That comes in all different textures. But we're laying that over the top of the paper. And then we have heat presses back over here. Got the heat presses. And that'll transfer all the ink from the paper into the material. So you can see with like these Icelandic skis, this is what the paper will look like after all that ink's been sucked out into that material. So this is all a reverse image of what we want to, and that'll transfer over into that material. And then we get all different kinds of textures of that material. That's like a mat. We have one that looks like a brush aluminum, one that is the carbon fiber, like the carbonium that we've got going. Your 35 has the nylon, which is transparent, same as this Eclipse. And with that transparent graphic, you'll be able to see all the wood core and fiberglass coming through those lighter areas of the design.
Okay. I was wondering how you guys did that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say yeah, because it looks pretty sick.
It's a clear material. We're transferring that ink into it. So.
That's sweet.
Then we also do a couple bases every year, where it'll be a clear base and we're transferring that ink into it. But we can't do that on every board just with our capacity of what we do. Yeah.
Who does your designs?
Oh, we have Jeremy in the office. He's our main art director, but then kind of reaches out to other artists and works on.
That's how you guys get those badass designs.
Oh, yeah. Justin over here, he's our repair tech. Yeah, anything that goes wrong through that process, he can fix it up and try and make it sellable. Then also doing customer repairs. So it's like he's working on one right now. Let's get a good core shot. He's cutting that out and doing a patch. We have all the materials here to replace that with, but clamping it down. Or something like that.
How much do you guys usually charge for like?
A normal tune is like $40, and then it'll add up from there depending on the type of repair.
Okay. That's not bad.
No.
It's better than what they charge in my area.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just cutting out that edge and replacing it with the rubber base material. Clamping it down with some glue. Then we'll send it through, tune up all that glue off.
Yeah, that's good.
Big one back here.
Oh, that's a gnarly core shot though.
We've seen a lot of crazy stuff this season. How rocky it's been.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
The season was rough, especially with the ice this year.
Yeah. It's been pretty bad.